When you hear the word pro, what pops in your brain? Is it something like this? A pro? Someone trained in a specific skill that they've mastered? Or what about for devices? I think anything with the name pro either needs to be something that is made for pros, like professional people who need the best professional thing to do their job, or more likely something that is a new top-end version. Like maybe it has more power, more performance, or is nicer in some way, better components, or something. Something about a thing has to make it worthy of the name pro. We can't just go throwing pros around all willy-nilly. That would just be utter chaos. So the RG35XX Pro is, compared to the RG35XX Plus, it has sticks now? That's kind of pro, right? Like if you squint, maybe. Hey there, how you doing? I'm TechDweeb, broadcasting live from my mom's basement and emotionally supported by a cat who hates me. This is the RG35XX Pro. Or is it? Is it even real? Did I dream it during a root beer-induced fever nap? To understand what this thing is, we have to go back to a simpler time. Strap in. This origin story has more twists than a bag of corn twists. Actually, that's a lie. Nothing has more twists than Cheetos Corn Twists. This video is sponsored by Cheetos Corn Twists. Hey mom, where's the Cheetos Corn Twists? We don't have any, son. That sucks. Cheetos Corn Twists. The story goes like this. A long time ago, Anbernic released the RG353V, which was their vertical device with a 3.5-inch screen, and it had 2 sticks. Still a great handheld, to be honest. Then Anbernic released the RG35XX, which was a cheaper device that used a different lower power chipset, basically something to compete with the Miyoo Mini, a more pocket-friendly device without analog sticks, and it didn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. That thing was great, everyone loved it. And then Anbernic released the RG35XX Plus, which was the same shape and size as the RG35XX, but with a more powerful chip. And now they gave it Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and HDMI. So in that sense, the word plus made good sense. It was the RG35XX Plus because it was better, it was more powerful, and it had more stuff. I love this thing so much. I crowned it as the best handheld, and to this day, it is the main handheld I tell people to get when they ask, which is every single day. And then Anbernic released a whole bunch of other XX devices that use the same chip as the RG35XX Plus, the H700, and now we have a whole family of XX devices. Meanwhile, some shady company run by kobolds made this thing, the R36S, which is like a janky budget knockoff of the RG353V, and it was kind of amazing. Not like actually good, but cheap and sort of fun janky, like driving a shopping cart down a hill, like we used to do back in the 90s. And then out of nowhere, this emerged. The Battle XP G350, which was made by some secret mystery company to compete with the R36S, but the build quality was weirdly good, suspiciously good. As in, this feels like Anbernic. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, it was Anbernic. They were making secret devices in disguise. Undercover handhelds. Like if your cheap toaster turned out to be made by Anbernic. So Anbernic has a factory making G350s, and then they decide they want an RG35XX Plus that has analog sticks. So they just took the guts of the RG35XX Plus, along with the extra features like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and HDMI, and they put all that in their handheld making machine, and they made some G350s with those guts. And they called it the RG35XX Pro, which is an RG35XX Plus, but with analog sticks and the same hardware as the G350. So why call it Pro is the question. Why? Why? I ask you this as a man who has cried actual tears over handheld names. Isn't that right, Hermione? Meow. Exactly. Meow. You tell him. Meow. Stop yelling at me. First things first, let's talk names. RG35XX Pro is a name that makes my mouth tired. It's just too many letters and numbers. It's dry, lifeless, like a dead bird who died of boredom. So I gave it a better name, as I tend to do. You might remember the ZazzyBizzazzle. That's the RG35XXH. And its smaller sibling, the ZazzyBizzazzle. And the chonky one, the ZazzyBizzazzle. The 35XX Plus became the Bizzazzle, and then we got the Big Zazzle. And now we have a Pro version of the RG35XX Plus, which is the Bizzazzle, so logically this should be the Pro Bizzazzle, or the Bizzazzle Pro. But that sounds like a crime, so I'm officially declaring this one the ZazzyBizzazzle. You know, because it's zazzier and bizazzier. ZazzyBizzazzle. It's fun to say. Try it. Go on. I'll wait.
ZazzyBizzazzle? This is so stupid.
See? FUD. The specs of the ZazzyBizzazzle are so boring that I had to slap myself awake while writing this. H700 chipset, 1GB of LPDDR4 RAM. Actually, that's not the same as every XX device. The RG34XX SP had 2GB of RAM. Only 1GB here. So that's a little bit less pro than the other thing. Just saying. The screen is 3.5 inches, 640 by 480 resolution, and we have a 3200 mAh battery, along with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.2. All the stuff you'd expect from a standard XX device, and despite the word pro in its name, at least in terms of the specs, it's not very pro. It's the same as the other ones. It comes in 3 flavors. Transparent green if you want to feel like a kid with a fun Game Boy toy thing, and black if you want to feel like Batman, and white if you want to feel like milk. No retro Game Boy DMG colorway though, which is a crime against handheld kind, especially because they're clearly going for that Game Boy vibe. With this rounded corner down here and even a fake speaker grill, it's obviously trying to be a Game Boy. The G350 had the Game Boy DMG colorway and this doesn't, and I'm bitter about it. As for the price, it's available from Anbernic for $49. However, in the first few days, it's $5 off. You'll pay for shipping on top of that though from Anbernic. I think you can also get this from AliExpress, if I'm correctly mistaken, and obviously Lid NXT will be selling this too, if you want to get it from a reseller with free shipping. I'll include as many links as I can find for you in the thingy below if you want to pick one up. And for the hardware, honestly, there's no point in me going through every little part with a fine-tooth comb the way I usually do in my reviews, because it's the same as the G350. It's the same exact hardware, same build quality, which isn't quite as tight as the rest of the XX devices, but it's almost there. I think it's great quality for the price. One gripe I have with this design is that this speaker grill here is fake. It's actually a single downward firing speaker. And that was forgivable on the G350 because that was a super budget device, but on a pro version of a device like the Bizzazzle, I expected it to be a bit better in some way, not worse. And the sound quality is alright, but not great. It gets the job done for retro games, but it's pretty cheap sounding. I mean, this really is just a G350 with the guts of a Bizzazzle. And that's not a bad thing at all, because the G350 and the Bizzazzle are both great devices. Just like the G350, we get a great D-pad, nice and firm membrane buttons, comfy and spaced just right. Anbernic hasn't done a vertical pocket-friendly XX device yet with dual sticks. And these sticks are typical Anbernic sticks. They have cardinal snapping, they're not great, but they get the job done for a cheap doodad, and also just having sticks is good. I know lots of people like having sticks. The 40XXV, the Big Zazzle, I know lots of people are nuts about that thing, but even that didn't have dual sticks. I mean, there isn't a ton of stuff that you can play on here that will take advantage of those dual sticks. No GameCube or PS2 or whatever, but there is some stuff. N64 benefits from using this stick as the C buttons, and some PS1 games that use the DualShock controller. You can play those. And there's some ports too that can take advantage of the dual sticks. And unlike with the G350, we have the power here to play a lot more stuff, including Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 and PSP. All stick systems. So I think that the sticks make a lot more sense here on the ZazzyBizzazzle compared to the G350 that struggles with that higher end stuff. And it's the same screen that we're used to on these things. It's a good screen, 3.5 inches, 640 by 480 resolution, which is, it's good. That's ideal for lots of retro systems, not as ideal for others, but it's still good. And we get Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and HDMI, but so does every other XX device now, so that's like bragging that your fridge is cold. Alright, let's talk games. And this is the part where I'm supposed to get excited, but it's hard when you've seen this same chipset like 87 times. The ZazzyBizzazzle will play everything up to PS1 and Nintendo DS with no problem, and a lot of N64 and Dreamcast and PSP. Not every game from those systems, but lots of them. A lot more will play here compared to the G350, so that's something. And also, sticks help with those systems. If you care about analog stick support, then yeah, this one's got that. But on a device like this, I'm probably going to be sticking with the older stuff, like Game Boy, Arcade, Game Boy Advance, NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, DOS games, maybe even some PS1 if I'm feeling fancy. I'm going to be going with a more powerful device for N64 and Dreamcast if I want to play that. And I'll go with something widescreen if I'm playing PSP. I mean, it is nice to have all that stuff on the same device you play Game Boy if you just want to carry one thing around, but you shouldn't get this for higher end stuff. That stuff is like a bonus. You should get this for older stuff. And if you're going to be playing mostly older stuff on a D-pad, the sticks are just there, like decorative raisins in a salad. If you want the best experience for the older systems, the Bizzazzle or the G350 are still great choices. If you want sticks and you still want that cute vertical form factor, well, now you have it. You have options. For me, the ZazzyBizzazzle probably won't get a lot of playtime unless I plan on playing some stick-centric stuff. But even then, I'm probably more likely to play on the ZazBizzle, to be honest. And the system is pretty standard Anbernic stuff. You get the same Zazzy system here that they put on all the other Zazzy handhelds in the XX line of doodads. It is a fine system. It gets the job done. You get RetroArch for the older systems and you can customize it however you like. It totally works. Anbernic has put in a lot of work on their system and it's good. It's good now. But here's the juicy bit. One of the upsides of having a device that has the same hardware as another device is that it is super easy for custom firmware makers to support it. I was in the Newly Discord and I was talking with the developers, basically bugging them to give me a build for the ZazzyBizzazzle to fix a problem that I had because the sticks weren't working. And then we did a little bit of troubleshooting and I was able to give them the controller mapping code things, the controller bindings that they needed. So very soon we'll have a full version of Newly ready for this bad boy. Newly really takes these things to the next level. I'm nuts about Newly. I've made several videos about it, and that's the firmware I have installed on all of my XX devices and every other device that I'm able to. I think it's safe to say I'm a Newly fanboy at this point. I'd install it in my brain if I could. And it's great that if you get a ZazzyBizzazzle, you can have Newly on it, because that makes it quite a bit better, as Newly always does for everything. The ZazzyBizzazzle is a good device. It's not exciting, not groundbreaking, but it's good. Solid build, good screen, decent controls, plays all the classic stuff, a good amount of higher end stuff, and now it has sticks. If you want a 3.5-inch screen, pocket-friendly vertical handheld with decent performance and dual sticks, something this size and shape, this is probably your best bet now. And it's great that this exists for dweebs like you if this is what you like. I think the biggest gripe I have with this is kind of the positioning of it. Basically the name, really. The name is a lie. This isn't Pro. It's just Plus with sticks. I think they should have called it the RG35XX and be done with it. Like a vertical device similar to the RG35XXH. That would have made good sense, I think. And I don't know if people are going to give it a hard time for them calling it a Pro the way I am, but I think RG35XX would have been a more accurate and authentic name, is what I'm saying. But even still, more options is always a good thing. I'm not saying this shouldn't exist or that you shouldn't get one. If you like the look of this thing and the sticks speak to your soul, then heck yeah, go for this. You'll probably like it. I do, but I don't think I'm going to be grabbing this often because everything it does is handled by something else that I have already that I like more. And it's weird, but playing with the ZazzyBizzazzle actually made me want to pick up my G350. Now that the ZazzyBizzazzle's around, I feel like that almost puts a spotlight on the G350 and shows what an incredible value it is. I definitely want to make another G350 video, at least one more, very soon. So stay tuned for that. But that's it. That's all the words I have for the ZazzyBizzazzle. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think of the RG35XX Pro? Do you want one? Do you agree that Pro is a misleading name and that ZazzyBizzazzle is better, objectively better? Tell me how right I am in the comments. Click the thumbs up button if you like the video, Or don't. I'm not your mom. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.